Hi everyone, this is RevitUni.com, and in today's lesson I will show you how to create smart legends using 3D objects. So stay with me, I think it might be a bit longer video. I will try to keep it short as usual, but I think it will help you along improving your documentation process. So first, let's list the disadvantages of the default Revit Legends. So Revit are like basically 2D objects, 2D views. When we start a new legend, we will receive an empty blank space, as you probably know, and then we have to draw detail lines and place something called detail legend components. Legend components may be found under annotate. If we open this list, there's legend components, and from the list we can search for the objects that we want to place either on the floor plan or on the elevation. So once placed, it becomes like 2D objects that we can do many stuff with, but one of the things we cannot do is actually to tag them. So this tag, which signifies the type mark of this window, is actually a text. So you can see that because this is text, this is not a smart annotation, it creates a situation where it's prone to errors. So in a way we have to like manually, like in a CAD way, in an AutoCAD way, using dump objects, annotate everything. So the only smart thing about this legend are those objects, but still they are not as smart as sometimes we need them to be, because they are showing us only type properties. For example, let's imagine that certain families have nested instance parameters that allows us to decide whether they are like just openable or just tilting or just, I don't know, fixed. So if these properties are parameterized as type properties, that's okay. But if there are instance, we cannot do anything about it, and then we will have to like find another solution. I think that's enough with the listing of the disadvantages of this tool. I think if you are already with me on this video, you probably know them better than I am. So let's dive into the main topic. So I'm very excited to show you a different method of creating legends using 3D objects. If you are familiar with phases, that might be more understanding for you what I will be doing in this video, but if you are not familiar with that, just follow my instruction. So first step that we should do is to create a phase in the future. So I go to manage phases, and usually we just work under new construction, because like let's imagine this is a new building, we are not doing any renovation, so we don't even think about it because all of the objects by default land under new construction. So you see there is past and future. So I want to create something in the future. So I will insert something after, and let's call it legend phase. This is maybe unusual. We can add some description. This phase is used for creating legend 2D. So each view has a phase property. And as I told you, all of them by default have new construction, so you probably didn't even spot it. So I will duplicate this view and rename it L like legends and call it legend 3D. Okay, now I will change the face of this view. So I will switch to the future. If I switch to the future, some of the objects will be grayed out because the visibility and the presentation of the elements is affected by something called phase filter. But instead of that, I will say show. So by doing this, I will show only objects created under legend phase. So now we have to create floor plan views in the same manner by duplicating the existing one. So let's say I have this view, I will duplicate it. Okay, let's rename it and call it L like legend and say window legend. Okay, now we need to decide on the space where we will create those objects. You think that maybe this is a little messy, like we will have other objects floating in space, but that's not gonna happen because we will be working in the future phase and all other views are still under new construction. So those objects will never collide. So it's good to have them separate. So it would be a good idea to create a better browser organization, but it's not the topic of this lesson, so I will skip that. But just remember always to move to Legend and say show new. Okay, we can also hide categories of this view, and let's say I will create a space for Legend here. So I'm in the floor plan view, so first I need some generic wall, right? And then I start placing windows. So remember to place the windows that you already have in your project. So this step is similar to choosing the correct Legend component from the list, right? There was a list there that we choose from, so it's also a little bit prone to errors, but I guess there is no other way to avoid it. Revit doesn't have like automatic generation of Legend based on the objects we have in the model, so I hope that this feature will appear soon, but we have to deal with what we've got. So I'm just placing some windows, right? Let's say 3 of them. And then I will create either a section view or elevation view. It's up to you. We can do an elevation maybe. Let's say it's an interior elevation. I will go there. Oh, this is up to 0.1, let's say. Of course, you need to organize it a little bit better, but you see, now we have a 3D object. We can hide this category and basically draw some detail lines. We can use the lines created by the wall itself, so I only draw vertical lines. And now something horizontal. Okay, we can always, of course, hide the wall entirely and just draw everything with lines. The graphical representation is up to you. And of course, it's good to rename those views also. So this is elevation 1A. It's automatically acquired the face from the floor plan because this is the place where I created this elevation. I will just rename it L Legend Windows Elevation. Okay, so once we have those 3D objects, we can, you see, access all sets of parameters there. So we can change, for example, symbol representation, I don't know, and other settings. You see, this object is changing. I insert another window family, so now I will show you that, for example, this family is built with massive instance options where I can choose the opening direction, and actually the width and height is also affected by the instance parameters. This kind of things we couldn't do with normal Legend components. So another advantage would be that I can now access property of this window. You see, I can always disable leader, call it free and like disable leader at all. Okay, see. I can, of course, dimension those elements in the same way, and I can see actually how this object behaves in the wall. So if I, for example, have certain reveals in them, let's say you see here or here, I can just also manipulate it with like more options rather than using the legend component. Okay, so this is the first method. I think you now understand how it works. To show you, you can see that none of this object will be visible on any of other views. So it's like a one-step configuration. I know for many of you might be worried that you will have some objects floating in the air, but it's not gonna happen. So don't worry about it. I think you understand how it works now. So of course you can do many other stuff with 3D components. For example, create 3D legends. So if I would draw couple types of wall, let's see here, I will do something completely random. Okay, and now I can create a 3D legend out of them. Okay, so maybe this is not the best way to present them, but you can see where I'm heading with it. So if I do something like that, I can always save orientation of this view, later hide this crop box and annotate them. So if I use the annotate tag by category with leader line free end, I can use smart annotations, and I can also use material tags, for example, so I can also access properties of these objects like that. Of course, I can change the scale a little bit. Yeah, I guess this is it, what I wanted to show you. Of course, those views can be dragged onto sheets. So I hope this video was helpful to you. And if you like it, please remember to subscribe to my channel and leave a thumbs up. It will really help me grow my channel and also motivate me to create new tutorials for you. Leave a comment and stay in touch. Bye.